Hi, I'm Bill Reifsteck, and 2 million bricks in 160 days is the story of the construction of Notre Dame Stadium in 1930. This monumental feat of construction, building a stadium in 160 days, is a task that most likely could not be done today. This construction project was the culmination of a series of events that started in 1912 and ended in the decision to build this great monument to college football. What makes this task even more impressive was that the contractor, Solid Construction Company, did this project without the help of modern construction equipment, and much of the work was done with horse and wagon and 600 construction workers. These men, many of who lost their jobs as a result of the Great Depression, were happy to have work. This work, hard as it was, actually was the only work available to many thousands that showed up to look for work at the project. I became interested in this story in the early 1980s while I was working at Solid Construction Company. As a recent graduate of Notre Dame, I was lucky enough to be assigned to several Solid projects that were being built at Notre Dame at the time. While working at Solid, I became aware of the vast archives of construction records that were in storage at Solid Construction's headquarters. These documents, many of which detailed records of the construction of the 42 buildings that Solid had built on campus at Notre Dame, were sitting in file storage and boxes in the attic of the building. Many of these documents had no duplicates anywhere else. In 1985, shortly before Solid Construction Company went out of business, I was able to collect most of these Notre Dame-related records and load them into my car and deliver them to the Notre Dame archives. I was also able to get an independent appraiser, Richard Alasko of Chicago, to place a valuation on these documents. He found that the collection was worth, in 1985 dollars, over $2 million. What made this collection so valuable was that many of the original design drawings and original artwork, photographs, and letters, many with original signatures, were still in the files. In addition, the original handwritten logbooks and notes of the construction team had been preserved. Most construction companies only save blueprints. They don't save the originals and finished project pictures, and they don't save many of the other construction documents that were found valuable in telling this story. In addition, these pictures were of such a quality that we were able to enlarge them and get the names of the suppliers from the packing crates located in the pictures. Over the years, I also collected oral history and stories about the construction of the original stadium. I was able to interview several people who had either first-hand information on the stadium construction or were the sons and or daughters of those that built the stadium. Included in this group were Ralph B. Solid, son of the original contractor, Richard Gagne, former chairman of Solid Construction Company, and Gloria Carroll, daughter of the founder of Solid Construction. I also became friends professionally with Charles Pankow, son of C.W. Pankow, who served as superintendent of the construction of the stadium project. In addition, many of the workers at Solid Construction Company, when I worked there, were either sons or daughters of those that worked on the stadium. In 2008, I began in earnest to formulate a plan to write this story, and with the help of my wife Kathy, granddaughter of Ralph Solid, and the people from Corby Publishing, we set out on a path to get this book into print. 2012 would mark the 125th anniversary of Notre Dame football, and we targeted the publication date to coincide with the start of the 2012 football season. The story of the construction of the stadium was fascinating in itself, but the tale of how Notre Dame came to need a stadium was even more spellbinding. The perfect storm of a small Midwestern school becoming a national football power and a household name started with a few great men. Jesse Harper brought his good business sense to the game, and it was played with Notre Dame men and the help of a few talented players. Soon they were winning most of their games, and when an Army team found that Yale had refused to play them in 1913, Harper just happened to be able to fill that date with his Notre Dame 11. A new gimmick play, the forward pass, and with the luck of the Irish, Notre Dame was able to shock a mighty West Point team who were the dandy of the Eastern sports writers. This David versus Goliath story made great copy in the papers, and soon the name of Notre Dame was blasted in the headlines all over the country. When the businessman Harper grew tired of playing football games, he decided to change jobs and moved on to enter the ranching business. Harper left the team in the capable hands of his star pupil, Knute Rockne. As good a businessman that Harper was, Rockne was even a better business promoter. With the help of the greatest football player in history, George Gipp, Rockne went on to a pair of undefeated seasons and the first of Notre Dame's many national championships. As the fame of Notre Dame's team grew, they began to draw sellout crowds at major venues all over the country. They soon sold out Ebbets Field, the Polo Grounds, and even the new Yankee Stadium. Soon a trip to New York every year was an important event. Likewise, they were selling out stadiums in the South, the North, and the West. Everywhere they played, the stadiums sold out. Newspaper writers were cheering their name, and after an undefeated season culminating with a Rose Bowl victory over Stanford in 1924, the team became the darling of the country. With the money that Rockne was bringing into Notre Dame's treasury, the Holy Cross Fathers could begin to invest, and rightly so, on the physical plant of the university. New dorms, a new dining hall, a new gymnasium, and much-needed science buildings were all built with the excess football revenue. The school needed these new facilities because with the fame of the football team known throughout the land, every good Catholic family wanted to send their sons to Notre Dame. Enrollment would double during this time, and any good Catholic boy that could pay was not denied admission. Every year, Rockne would see all this money that his teams brought to the school being spent on much-needed improvements to the school. But he wondered when it would be his time. He wanted a new stadium. Every year, Father Walsh, the president of the school, would say, "Rock, the stadium will have to wait till next year." And next year never came. The stadium story was also the story of a friendship between two World War I veterans who became friends after the war. Father Matthew Walsh, a decorated veteran war chaplain, and Ralph Shannon Sollitt, a captain in the Army Corps of Engineers, became the major actors on this construction drama. Sollitt and Walsh met through a chance encounter at an American Legion dinner, and soon became friends as they found that their common experiences in the war gave them wisdom, experience, and knowledge beyond their years. This personal relationship would become a lasting corporate relation spanning over 65 years and accounting for many architectural landmarks on campus. The miraculous events that happened in the summer of 1930, just a few short months after the great stock market crash, made this construction project all the more remarkable. This book tells the story of how bank failures, the Empire State Building, Vice President Dawes, the Ku Klux Klan, Bing Crosby, the Four Horsemen, the Gipper, and John Dillinger all played a part in the development of this story. If you want to hear more about this great construction story, please check out the book at www.corbypublishing.com.